Welcome back.
Hiya! Come on now!
Okay, let's continue, shall we? The place is bustling with movers, carrying furniture here and there, along with several trunks of personal belongings taken from a penthouse. Oh, let me move a bit. So you can see that. Oh, wait, move this chair. Otherwise, you cannot really read the text yourself, can you? Okay, so that should be better. So Luke watches them like a hawk, making sure nothing is handled carelessly or gets stolen.
Careful now! I know your pictures are framed by cheap plastic, but those are framed by African blackwood and are one-of-a-kind commissioned paintings. Each one is easily worth a lifetime of what you lot make.
Surely passionate about it.
Luke, do the dishwashers go into the kitchen or the butler's pantry?
Pantry, Buttercup. Careful, that's a
Mahogany?
No, you there, put that down. You do not manhandle a Napoleon Abueva.
I can see the exasperation and have to send the foreman an apologetic glance. Even Johannes rolls his eyes as he goes by, considering Luke is always like this during a project. Johannes and I have gotten used to it. Poor Marianne, and on the other hand, looks a bit stressed at seeing the gigantic mess before quickly going back to work. Everything just has to be perfect, exactly the way he wants it. And one little thing out of place, one little thing didn't fit the image he clearly constructed in his head, and Luke gets bent out of shape.
Sweetie, why don't we go and sort your suits upstairs? Let Johannes and Marianne and the foreman deal with the rest of the work.
We have this, Mrs. Wright.
Yes, please do go before a blood vessel bursts. Bloodstains are so troublesome to clean.
Taking him by the hand, I lead him upstairs into our bedroom. This place has been arranged first so we can get some rest, no matter what state the rest of the mansion is in. I am definitely glad I can just lie down on a soft, comfy bed after what has been a busy morning. Watching Luke act like his life depended on getting this moved on is tiring all on its own. And to think I have a whole day off this ahead of me. A whole day! I feel the bed tip beside me as Luke sits down with a sigh.
Well, I can't wait for this to be over.
He's so stressed.
I don't know. It's fun seeing you all fired up. Here at home and not at work, you know.
You know I can't always be home, Hannah. I have a company to run, unless you've forgotten.
I haven't forgotten. You're the one who insists on being there to make sure each and every little thing is under control. I just really miss you sometimes, and I wish you were at home more often. Why, if you're not careful, I might go a bit loopy and I'll start bringing cats home. And soon enough, one day you'll find yourself going home to a farm just filled with felines that follow you everywhere.
Oh, don't bluff. The things would shred up your precious furniture. Besides, you don't even like cats.
True, true. Dogs are infinitely superior, of course.
I like both. I like cats and dogs. I myself have 2 dogs up, but I used to have 5 cats. And 1 dog. What about you? What do you prefer?
But what about the wet dog smell? The mess? I'm not cleaning up after a mutt, no matter how cute. If you think about it, a cat would be better.
We laugh. It's not always that we can just lie down and talk about these sort of things. They joke around as if we're teenagers again, with very little problem in the way of responsibilities and roles. To hear his genuine, honest to goodness laughter is a rarity. This is just the second time as of late, and I can only see it as a sign of good things to come.
All good points. I guess we could just have kids. That is, if you prefer dealing with soiled nappies and sick as opposed to dead birds, mice, and litter boxes. I've already told Marianne about turning the second bedroom into a children's room.
I guess sometimes I don't know when I'm crossing a line. I didn't say that I'm a good comedian, did I?
Not this again.
I guess he's not ready to have kids.
What? I wasn't being serious.
I think you were, Tom.
It's not something you take the piss out of. Having a kid is a big responsibility, Hannah. We've talked about this, haven't we? I'm not ready to be a parent. I'd probably end up killing the little brat by the week's end.
You'll be a great father. I think you need to hear that. I think he doesn't really have the right experience, so...
Kylie likes you well enough.
Oh yeah, Kylie. The mention of our little goddaughter places a conflicted look on his face. Sometimes it's cute when he denies having a soft spot for the little girl. But then sometimes it's sad, and it makes me wonder what happened to make him think so poorly of himself in this regard.
Yes, well, it's Kylie.
So he has a goddaughter.
The tyke likes everybody and, on the off chance she doesn't, likes them well enough as long as they buy her sweets. And sure, that kid is great, but if I get tired of her, I can ship her back to her father at the end of the day.
That's true.
Having kids of our own will be a whole different monster entirely.
I have never heard him talk about his father in anything but a business context. I recall Damien Wright kept hearing about him from our own father, even before I met Luke. The business world praised him for running a tight ship, all until one mistake led to a great loss for the enterprise. It was then that the news of Luke Wright, Balaji's son and successor to the old man, started to show up, and he aided in its recovery and growth up until the Great Recession. I'm getting a bit off track. Regardless, I have never heard him talk about his father like one would talk about family.
I think you'll be a great father.
There's a smile, no matter how half-hearted it may be. I do really think that. He might not be a good, honest man. A part of me knows that, though I try to silence it. But I know Luke well enough that he will be a better father than either Damien Wright or Henry Evans. I love my father, but he never had the time.
If it is any consolation, I think you'd be a decent mother.
On the other hand, I have never heard of his mother. A silence settles, both comfortable and uncomfortable. There is familiarity in each other's company despite the awkwardness that had transpired. Defenses and masks down, without anybody else looking. We are both together and alone in disquiet. But a crash from downstairs startles us both out of our reverie. Luke lets out a heavy sigh before coming up to his feet and straightening his jacket.
I'll have to attend to that then.
Yikes.
Be good, darling.
I don't want to be in that one's shoes.
And watch out for your blood pressure.
He gives me a kiss on the cheek before leaving, while I lay down in a daze. Alone as per usual. I really should be used to it by now. I can feel the minutes tick by with me just lying there, feeling miserable and full of self-pity. I have rolled over to lie on my stomach at this point, with my face buried in the pillows when there's a knock on the door. Grumbling at them to go away doesn't work as a voice comes from the other side.
Madam, the photographer from Luxury Living is here.
Wait, is that the day? Oh yes. People had caught wind of our new mansion the very moment we left the open house. Luke had boasted he could acquire the property in no time and allowed a photo shoot for an interior design magazine to be scheduled today. Well, there were complications and it took longer than it usually does for us.
In a minute, Hansi.
It took longer?
Johannes, if you could at least make it through the end.
Tell them I'll be right down, Hansi.
The mansion grounds has been one of the first things we fixed up, aside from the bedroom. Although it's still a work in progress, it had a promising start and I can already see the flower patches. Luke's favourite daffodils stems out easily, have been transplanted from the pots that used to litter the rooftop of a penthouse. Why, if the moving crew thought that Luke was being hard on them, they clearly didn't see the landscape on his way out. The man looked like he was ready to faint, and Luke seemed ready to kill him by the end of their discussion. It is in the gardens that I see him standing near the flowers in quiet admiration. He's hard to miss. Zacky! The hulk of a man that clearly did not belong, and the big backpack and suitcase he has with him makes him look much larger. It is a peculiar sight, seeing someone who looks like he does handling little delicate things with such care. He looks up from the gardens and does a double take before a friendly face replaces his serene expression.
Miss Wright, yeah? Hi, Zachary Steele here from Luxury Living, ma'am. Hope you weren't waiting too long. But it looks like you're still moving in, huh? Thought for a second there my calendar was wrong and I came here too early.
The one and only. Welcome, welcome to Maison de Right. And yes, we've been in the process of moving in as we were delayed. But it won't be a problem. They're just adding a few things here and there, and you should still be able to do your work. Where's the rest of your crew then, Mr. Steele?
He doesn't need one.
Zach is fine, please. Mr. Steele makes me feel like I'm a mascot for a cleaning product. Anyway, I'll be your one-man crew for today. Don't worry, been doing this gig for a while now.
You must be quite the veteran to handle this on your own. We've had a full crew coming into our penthouse the last time we were covered in your magazine.
Veteran? Oh, your words are too kind, Miss Wright.
Hannah, if I get to call you Zach, you have my permission to call me Hannah.
Alrighty then. Anyway, I'm no veteran, but I know my camera well enough to make sure this is a good shoot. You can trust me on that, Miss Wright. Hannah.
Zachary brews quickly enough that I can, in fact, trust him. His skills with the camera and experience in this industry, at the very least. He's kind and courteous, listening and following as I lead him around the house. A really nice fella, and he treats our household staff well whenever we cross paths with them. I answer his questions to the best of my ability, and he's patient enough to answer mine whenever I get curious enough. For one, I ask what the bags are for. They are quite the magician's tools kit. From inside, he had procured several items to embellish the interior with. Piles of fruit, lemons, trays with peppermills, stacks of cookbooks, cutting boards and glass canisters filled with colorful nuts and grains are brought in for kitchen setting. For the bathroom, there are white towels, seashells and decorative soaps. There are other things as well, too numerous to count, all in that large backpack and suitcase. He is well prepared.
Tricks of the trade. Softens up a room, makes a place feel more homey, and fills it up with texture. But you guys probably have better stuff I can use for this.
No lights. Don't tell me all of these are just props.
Well, I've got my tripod here. For things like these, natural light is best. I'll just have to set the shutter speed to a real slow setting, and as long as nobody steps into the shot, it'll look great.
And nothing will be blurry.
Oh, it better.
We go to the room, one at a time, although we first tackle the ones that the movers have no business in anymore. The ballroom needs a preparation with its grand design. Although there is some trouble at first with the wide open space and the pictures being backlit. It is in the kitchen that Zachary props come in handy, considering how Johannes kept the place so neat and sterile one can practically eat off the floor. We carry on, touring the house and taking pictures where we can, with exception to the rooms which have yet to gain any purpose or design. Too bad I can't take a sneak peek at his photos yet. Funnily enough, he's using a traditional camera. I didn't even know film still existed. With the way he speaks, however, I can see that he knows enough about his craft that I'm not too worried about budget photographs. I imagine photography must be cathartic for him, judging by how at ease he looks while taking pictures. There are small snippets of conversations in between the clicking of the camera. He even goes as far as to talk about these terminologies like shutter speeds and aperture when I ask about the technical aspects. I can quite see the picture as it is made, much like when I watch artists paint on a canvas. But just watching someone passionately practicing their craft such as this is exciting in its own way. Going to the many rooms, has been quite the exercise for the both of us. Despite that, he has been so nice, and I find myself putting on my best smile. But it is as we're taking pictures in the foyer that everything comes to a standstill for a moment. Just a moment. And had I not been paying attention, I wouldn't have even noticed. It is merely a split second when secondary rhythm is put to hold. Ooh. His finger doesn't move to release the shutter. Yet he also doesn't pull the camera away from his face, gaze still firmly fixed to the viewfinder. Oh, sorry, she's giving me really goosebumps. Sound. His hands shake and there is a light sheen of sweat on his forehead.
Zachary?
No response.
Zach? Is something the matter?
Lowering his camera, he blinks and stares at something behind me before shaking his head. Turning around the door, I see nothing that could have gotten his attention.
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something I saw. Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
Ooh. I fear, Zach, I'm not good from it either. I struggle to respond this time. There's a sudden weight on my back and an indescribable tightness around my throat. Everything stops. And everything starts again as I manage to choke out.
If you're sure.
I don't know what just happened. It was probably just a dizzy spell. I'm fine, and he said he's fine. We continue at the same pace as before, although there is an unspoken agreement that we will not talk about what happened.
So, is this a full-time job for you then?
Nah, I just freelance mostly, for magazines, newspapers, and events. So you can't really call it a full-time job. It's fun and it puts food on the table, but it's not what I really want to do. At least, not all the time.
What is it that you want to do then?
Film. Maybe I've been out of line, sticking my nose into other people's business, but I can't help but ask. I regret doing so as I see his shoulders slump, and the easygoing air he has fades away. He looks torn over whether he wants to talk about it or not.
Films. Documentaries mostly. But cinematography is a lot more difficult than photography, right? I was working on this thing, actually.
What thing?
Well, it wasn't really a big thing. People didn't like Blue Fonzie very much.
People don't like a film about colors. I suppose they would have liked Blue Bibby a lot more.
Very funny.
So, Grand Director, do you want to tell me what Blue Fonzie is all about?
He hesitates, but when I refuse to budge on the matter, he gives in and spills it all out. Blue Fonzie, l'heure la plus sombre des Noirs Britanniques. Sorry if my French wasn't that good. Dark blue, the darkest hours of the Black British. He speaks with passion of one who has gone through the very matter he is concerned with. There's conviction, knowledge, and experience in his speech. Why, I would have told him that he is an amazing speaker, if only I wasn't so engrossed listening. Prejudice and discrimination in schools and in the workplace. Lesser chances of opportunity and higher chances of being treated like a criminal. He spoke of blacks and people of color in general still being treated like second-class citizens. That's really not right. All because of the color of his skin. What is the color of his skin, really? Should not matter, should it? It is all just positively riveting and sad. It comes to a point wherein he soon loses steam. He looks abashed, realizing what he had just done. I can't believe I was passionate about it. It should all be about the heart, really.
Sorry, I just got so carried away and...
It's fine. It is really so fascinating to watch people talk about their passion after all. You should see how your eyes light up when you speak so fiercely. You do have very beautiful eyes.
Is she flirting?
Uh-huh. Thanks, I guess.
I want to say I understand where he's coming from. But I really don't, do I? I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, and I've lived a charmed life. It hasn't been perfect, but the difficulties I've been through pales in comparison to what others experience on a daily basis. I certainly don't know how I would have fared were it any different. Would I still have met Luke? And would he still have loved me, if I was any lesser?
What was your home like? These things you talk about. It sounds like you've... Well, I don't mean to pry, I mean.
Live with my older sister and my grandparents. We had a shop selling all sorts of things below our flat. And well, I was one of the few non-white, non-British students in class. I didn't get pushed around or anything straight up. Even then, I was one of the biggest kids around. But a pencil and notebook would go missing, you know?
Dad, I knew. Children can be so cruel at times. That's a fact. Of course, it may be a slightly different story when you have personal guards and the stolen items on a pencil, but an expensive heirloom.
So what about you? How you liking your new house? It's pretty impressive.
It's nice, I suppose.
You suppose? Not big enough?
What? No, oh, don't be a bully. It's just that...
I understand if you don't want to talk about it.
I was a little girl, all dolled up and treated like a fragile porcelain, with nursemaids swinging to me hand and foot. But we learned that she did get a lot from the help. All the material possessions anyone could ever want, I could ask for on a whim, and it would be handed me just like that. But I barely saw my parents. Just a goodbye kisses in the morning before they went off to who knows where they were needed to text. I saw them more often on the telly or in the papers than I ever did in person.
I remember my old house. It was a lot like this one. Big walls and big halls, but nobody in it. Not really. It makes you think how alone you are.
A pensive mood overcomes us. And there's a moment when neither of us are sure of how to go on from there. She has a void. Things have gotten a bit too personal. Yet it isn't wholly uncomfortable, like as if we've been friends before.
Well, that's normal, ain't it? You just moved here. You'll make home out of it yet.
He certainly makes it easy to believe that. My childhood house is indeed a lot like this one. Just as large and extravagant. And just as empty. I hope he's right.
So, Monsieur le Photographe, you've covered the one and only Ermengarde Mansion. What's next on the agenda?
The interview?
Boring. It's an interior design and housing magazine.
And they want to know what Miss Wright has to say about her interior design and house.
Honor Wright thinks she bought a magnificent house that she can certainly brag about.
Blah, blah.
Blah. Boring. You know what they should print more of? I watched an interesting documentary the other day. Luxbourne City, the darkest hours of the Black British. I recommend you watch it. Those are the things that people should know about. What do they care if I use a purple or green bowl of fruit in my kitchen?
People, right?
Oui. People are shite. What do you think? Do I look good with this angle?
I strike a pose while he's being busy, looking taken aback for a moment, probably not expecting me to just go and say such a crass word. But he recovered quickly, and after snapping a few shots, he grins.
Yeah, vous êtes belle.
Aw, you're
You
beautiful.
want copies of these ones?
Yes, please.
I think he said that. Belle means beautiful.
So, the big boy knows French.
Un petit peu.
You must have wooed a few ladies. Unless you're into gents. Either way, French is, after all, the language of romance.
No, I don't know about quoting fancy poetry. But I've made lunch for a girl before, and they did like that fancy French cuisine.
The man who can
your
cook.
best?
I can cook just about anything as long as I know the recipe.
He can come cook over here if you want
C'est
to.
magnifique.
Fantastic. It has been too long since I've had a nice and proper chat with a good friend. No, Lee is certainly not a good friend. And although we've just met, Zachary's the sort who can probably befriend anyone. He has that kind character, doesn't he? He's just a comfortable person to be around with. A bit too comfortable. The photo shoot went by a breeze, and somewhere along the way, as we talk and laugh, I find myself getting a bit too close without realizing. He'll give me this strange look until I back off, and he'll go back to asking questions after I agree to do his little interview. And it's just odd. Well, no. Me being friendly isn't that odd. That is how I am. Zachary's the one that's being odd. Why, anyone else would absolutely welcome the extra attention I give them. He, on the other hand, looks almost flustered about it. He should be used to different personalities by now, having to deal with various people when he works. And if not, he needs to start. Perhaps nobody has shown him attention of this kind, but he's a big boy. He should be able to handle me. All it is a friendly touch here, a pretty smile there, and a gentle swaying of the hips as I moved around. It sounds more like she was flirting, Tom. Zachary grew and grew more red every time he noticed. Am I being mean as I find enjoyment in seeing him unravel? Perhaps. This went on during the interview and beyond that. There's nothing wrong with what we're doing, right? Zachary and I are just having a playful, friendly chat while enjoying the outside view. At least, that's how I see it.
I'm sorry, but I'm really getting distracted. Could you maybe stop doing that?
Stop. I'm not sure if I want to, Tom. Let's respect his wishes and let's stop. It's okay to, have a light... Well, no. Well, how should I say it? Not really flirtation, but, little joke here and there, but... if you're in a relationship... No!
I'll stop if it makes you uncomfortable, sweetie.
Look, he's happy.
Sorry.
Thank you, Hannah.
No, I should be the one apologizing.
As I said, she's trying to fill a void.
Why, you're a shy one, aren't you, big guy?
It's not that, but...
Yeah, you're married. He catches the ring on my finger and lets the fact of the matter hang heavily between us. I respect him for that, for respecting her marriage. Being told implicitly that I am too forward is not a common occurrence. I think I'm more stunned at the fact that he pointed it out, rather than, being rejected. Not that anything is going to happen between us in the first place. It was just going to be some harmless flirting. Right?
So, you've never had a girlfriend?
No. No boyfriend either. Just in case you were gonna ask for that one next.
And you haven't even had your first kiss?
Not a one, ma'am.
Do you want to have your first kiss today?
Hannah! Oh, she's shameful. Oh, no. She knows no shame. Alright. I can help it. No leaf before her mouth, I guess. I really, really can't. And I'm going to apologize lots later. Surely, by the catty smile on my face, it is obvious that I'm just pulling his leg. The laugh I failed to contain certainly gives it away, if it still isn't obvious. But still, he lights up in embarrassment, stammering and sputtering objections.
You're married, and this will be extremely unprofessional.
I never said I would kiss you, silly. Hans!
No, what? No!
Hannah!
Don't call your butler. She's Hannah.
That would be for the better. I don't think his husband would appreciate it if I made him kiss another man.
Oh, he's married too.
I do not think you can hear us from here either. But it is hard to think you're not taken, Zachary. Why, whoever becomes your girlfriend will be so lucky to have you. You can cook and take wonderful photographs, wonderful meals and wonderful memories.
I can play guitar too.
Ooh.
You can? Oh my. Wonderful serenades as well then. Perhaps I can find a young lady who deserves a fine, strapping young gentleman like yourself.
Let's not get carried away. Besides, I gotta be going. It's getting late and I got someplace else to be.
A shame. I will be expecting you again soon, I hope. For a copy of my photographs, yes?
Course, I'll even deliver them personally. Just, don't try to make me kiss your butt when I drop by.
As fate will have it, the very moment the words leave his mouth, oh no, Johannes comes out of the house. Judging by the slight raise of his brows, he has heard only the tail end of the sentence.
There shall be no kissing of any butlers under this roof, Danke.
But you are not under a roof, are you, Hansi?
To my amusement, he takes a step back, safely placing him within the threshold of the foyer and on the roof of the house. And just as ever, he is quick to return with a sardonic reply.
I am now. As I was saying, madam, it's about time for supper. Will I be needing to set an extra place at the table?
Oh, what? No, I was just leaving, actually. So, you have a good night, Hannah. And you too, Hansi.
Hansi.
It was nice to meet you, Zach, honey. You have a safe trip.
He nods, and the grin on his face as we say our goodbyes is as sweet as I've ever seen. I linger, looking out for him with his relatively tiny bicycle, backpack safely secured in a basket by the front, and suitcase hooked to the back. I watch as he went down the path back to Anston Village, until there's nothing more than a blip in the horizon. I cannot help the small smile on my face as I go inside for supper. Entering the dining hall causes me so much confusion. It is dark. For a moment I thought the electric work is not up to the par. But that clearly is not the case, as every other room is bright with artificial light. Finding the light switch is a monumental task, considering the size and my unfamiliarity with the room. To make matters worse, the darkness grants the room a different atmosphere, eerie and frightening. It takes longer than I thought to find the switch, something that will have to be rectified later on. My skin starts to prickle. There is a distinct feeling of being watched. It unsettles me and only spurs me on in my search. And when I do open the lights, there is a hiss.
I'll turn the lights down, woman.
He is drunk. There at the end of the hall is my beloved husband with his face in one hand and a glass in the other. Perhaps I can let it go if it's only one glass of wine. However, I can feel myself go livid after seeing the toxic green liquor gleam mockingly at me.
Luke, what? Are you drinking absinthe?
That's some strong stuff.
You know what the doctor said. Absinthe, Luke. Are you actively trying to kill yourself? Because if you are, we can just hit you with a bloody car.
Honeybee, buttercup, not too loud, please. Besides, it's Lelouch, not too strong. Just hair of the dog that bit me.
It's still strong enough to.
Helps with the hangover, dearest.
You drank? When?
This morning, love. Don't be mad. I just needed a few drinks, having to deal with those simpletons. And maybe I had one too much. You don't see me whinging about you leaving me to handle them on my own.
I had to attend the photo shoot and interview with Luxury Living. You know that. Let's not make this about me, Luke. This is about you and your drinking problem and...
Oh, I don't know, Hannah, darling. What if my drinking problem, as you like to call it, is linked to you? If we
So
think
wrong.
about it that way, this discussion is about you. That was pretty mean of you, leaving me alone to do all the work like that. You can't use the interview as an excuse either, honey. I was informed the moment your little interview was done.
Was he jealous, you think?
So, what was it then, What were you doing?
What's it gonna be? Should I tell the truth? Or tell it a lie? Well, she was with Zachary, but mentioning that he's jealous, it would just make him more upset than he already is. But she was also in the gardens, so it's not a complete lie if she uses that. Even if it's just so he won't be upset, because, as she said, there's nothing to worry about, is it? Let's just say I was standing in
I
the
was
gardens.
just tending to the garden, sweetie.
Ah, there you go.
You were?
Let's not make him more upset than he already is, shall we? For a moment he looks skeptical. I can tell by the gleam in his eyes and the way he sits up in attention. He thinks I'm lying, but I see no point in bringing up Zachary and aggravating him. Well, yeah, no point in starting a fight, is there? And there's no need to have one. I did tend to the gardens for a bit, so it's not a complete lie. Just a little white lie. Besides, I know just how to please him. Sauntering over and circling around him, I place my fingers on his shoulders. He lets out a little groan before melting as I massage his shoulders.
I had to make sure they didn't ruin your favorite daffodils.
Oh, that is wonderful.
I'm not sure if he means the massage or the flowers, but I'll take it. This is better than a fight.
So, absinthe.
Just one glass, Lush.
I suppose I can let this one go. A bit too late anyway, you've already drank half the thing. But remember your doctor's orders.
Yes, I'll try to drink less.
Please keep that promise.
Try.
Hey, I'm only human. Do you want one?
No, thank you.
Supper is spent in silence with nothing but the occasional sound of silverware. A grand feast has been served. Well, grander than usual anyway. Most likely due to Luke's complaints of stress. A platter of native oysters for starters, and trench of turbot with purple sprouting, broccoli, lemon, capers, and anchovy sauce for mains. To finish it all off, black tea and golden syrup sponge pudding with custard. But when our appetites are appeased and the plates are cleared away, Luke stands, gives me a good night, and leaves me to stare at my half-empty cup. Lonely in the lull of night, I sit in a house too big and too empty, foreign and unwelcoming. Even with its warm tone and homely decor, it feels cold. There is no need for tears, however. I know I can get through this like every other obstacle I have faced before. This is a minor setback in what I hope will be a long and happy life. To remind myself that this space is for Luke and for our future children fills me with a renewed vigor. Besides, it looks like someone is having a cry already. No, don't go. The wailing is far away and muffled. Yet at the same time it shakes me to my very core as I hear it. As if the suffering is just standing right beside me. Hearing it sends a chill down my spine. It makes my skin prickle with goosebumps. Who's that? Don't go. Curiosity sinks in as I follow the sorrowful sound into the kitchen. And into the wine cellar hatch.
Hello? Is anybody down there?
You don't want to go down there, sweetie. I'm curious and concerned, but there's no way I'm going down into a dark and humid underground. Yes, please don't. I'm not as enthusiastic as Luke, who considers himself quite the connoisseur. However, I also cannot bring myself to go to bed with this racket going on. If it's one of the household help, they will surely need some talking. After all, this would have been the first time I've gone and found one of the maids sobbing their eyes out over one thing or another. As professional as staff are, they are still human. More often than not, it was either Johannes or I who'd calm them down, who'd help them figure out how to go about things. Unfortunately, I am not in high spirits right now, so I'm not as wholly benevolent. So I will... No, you're not going to open the hatch. You're going to call him out. Sorry, I just can't. I knocked 3 times. Waiting for any sort of reply yields me no result, and I've already touched the floor, hedged far too many times than what I'd like. I take a deep breath before reaching out again to whoever is inside. I've learned from experience that people respond better to kindness than threats. That's true. Shouting angrily but not helping, coaxing them out.
You, in the cellar, do come out. We don't want Luke waking up and finding you in there, do we? That man would go ballistic thinking someone was trying to steal his precious wine.
Still nothing.
You can have a good cry. Just not in there, yes? Why don't you come out here and we can have a cuppa and you can tell me all about whatever it is you're bawling about?
With how long I am standing here, however, I'm starting to think myself as a fool. I did not want to acknowledge the other feeling I have, especially the willing took an eerie turn. The thought of being played with didn't sit too well with me. I had to stop myself from getting too hot-headed as I tried one more time.
Now you come out of there! That is an order from the lady of the house, do you hear me? Why, I ought to...
I freeze as a hand clamps down my shoulders. The dread I've been feeling all this time makes itself known as I kneel unmoving, not even daring to breathe. I can feel my heart pounding against my chest. But the touch is gone as quickly as it has seized me. Johannes. It's only Johannes I see when I look back.
Apologies, madam, for touching you like that.
But I'm just glad it was just you, buddy.
You were not responding to my voice, and you looked about ready to wake the whole mansion up.
I was... I'm sorry. I was getting rather loud, wasn't I? But that crying woman in there, we must do something about her.
He grows silent for a moment and just looks concerned. At least I'd like to interpret as concern, given how stoic our head butler usually is. Or rather, it must have been concern, as he takes off a glove and presses the back of his hand at my forehead, before his worrisome inquiry.
I beg your pardon. What crying woman?
You don't hear her now, do we?
Are you feeling well, madam?
In the cellar. Can't you hear her?
Madam Hannah, no one is down there.
What?
The cellar is locked. Only Luke and I have duplicates of the keys.
So we could not open the cellar if we wanted to?
Nobody is down there.
I stared at him in disbelief. But when I listen once more, I hear no crying. Tucking at the hatch of good measure prove his words to be true too. The thing won't budge unless I had a key, short of using power tools on it.
Perhaps it is time for you to go to bed, madam. You are simply tired and hearing things, a perfectly normal human experience. But if you are still experiencing auditory hallucinations in the morning, you are free to consult with me.
There is a cold feeling in the pit of my stomach as he helps me up to my feet. What he says makes sense, and who am I to question someone who used to be a doctor? I'm just tired, that's it. Long day of moving, the interview, dealing with Luke, that has all drained me of any proper sense.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I just need some sleep, that's all.
Of course I'm right. Go on then. Gute Nacht.
Gute Nacht.
Good night, Johannes. Good night, house.
It's just fatigue. That's what I keep telling myself, although I can't ignore the strange feeling in my gut. Either there is something wrong with this house, or there is something wrong with my head. Sleep will be elusive tonight. That will be another time. See you then. I hope you still like it so far, Ta.